be us farming our own land, producing our own food that will save our lives. It hurts me to travel and see us so dependent on others for the basic necessities of life, when the richness of our land is there to produce all that we need and then some.
We're getting ready to do a little more. Defending black women and black children and black babies and black men.
The truth must be recognized by the black man. We are an international people. Our brothers and sisters are all over the world, desirous of doing business with us. But if we are not producing anything, we can't enter into trade and commerce with the nations of the earth. As the Honorable Elijah Muhammad wrote in Message to a Black Man, quote, as a people, we must become producers and not remain consumers and employees. We must be able to extract raw materials from the earth and manufacture them into something useful for ourselves. This would create jobs in production. We must remember that without land there is no production, and the surplus of what we produce we would sell. This would help develop a field of commerce and trade as other free and independent people whose population is less than that of our so-called Negroes. The truth must be recognized by the black man.
We're talking about revolution because that's the era that you're caught in. You're caught in a revolutionary era.
Defending black women and black children and black babies and black men.
And this is not an anti-white tirade or somebody that's against white people or against Jewish people or against Arabs or Chinese or blacks. That's not the purpose at all. The purpose for truth is not to condemn color, but to condemn wrong. When wrong is condemned by the presence of truth, the wrongdoer in the light of truth has his or her actions or thoughts illuminated for them by the presence of truth. This is mercy from God because it allows us to correct our actions. If our actions go uncorrected, they bring in their wake consequences that may not be good for the actor. Great nations like this one have gone to ruin because people were hateful of truth. They despised that which corrected them. What makes one despise correction? It is arrogance. Arrogance is a state of mind that blinds us to truth. For we begin to feel that we are better than, bigger than, above.
brotherhood is obligatory.
Black man, get up. Black man, stand.
All right. My apologies for that issue with the microphone. So I was saying that something is happening in this country that is so strange, that is puzzling me. I'm trying to figure it out. And if you have an answer, please call in and tell me. Please call in and share it with me. We're talking about all these cars on fire. There was one right across from here on Sweetbriar Street, Uptown Port of Spain. There was a video, flames coming out of the bonnet. Just a few flames. Next thing you know, the whole car is engulfed in fire. The fire services eventually came. All the tires, everything burnt out. Then there was another similar case somewhere in South. It might have been Pleasantville or Marabella. Flames coming out the bonnet of a car, then the whole car on fire. And then 13 cars at the Canoopia police station. 13 cars destroyed by fire. Now for that one, they said it was a bush fire. A bush fire completely destroys 13 cars in a car parking lot and doesn't touch the building or anything around it. So I don't have a clue what that is about, but it's really, really, really strange. I mean, it's true, all kinds of stuff are happening now. All kinds of stuff is happening now in our country, but I mean, who would expect something like that? And those are just the 15 cars that we know about. All these cars being set on fire. So I really, really, really don't have a clue what's going on there. One thing I'm very happy about is the launch of the TT Premier League. The Football League is back up and running. Trinidad and Tobago's professional football league. It is, I mean, I don't want to lament on the last, it's been almost 3 or 4 years since we did not have a professional football league up and running. Winning clubs are still owed prize money from 5-6 years ago, might even be 7 or 8 years ago. But Football League is back up and running, and we should support it. San Juan Jablotay, Central FC, W Connection, Point Fortin Civic, Canoopia FC, AC Port of Spain, Club Sando, Rangers, La Hocata Rangers. They're on a great, great run. Let's support our local league. Listen, each team has an average roster of about 30 players. And we have the Premier League and the Super League. That's 24 teams, approximately 30 players and 10 staff each. So you're looking at employment for 960 people. So that's just about 1,000 people employed in the football industry. In addition to those 1,000 people involved, coaches, physiotherapists, team doctors, assistant coaches, goalkeeping coaches, players. In addition to that, you have reserve players. You have the junior team. So you have the senior team, you'll have the under 20, the under 17, the under 15. And you have so many people vying for spots. Then you have the national senior team, which is on an excellent run now. To beat Jamaica in Jamaica is not an easy feat. As a matter of fact, when I was manager of the team and we went to Jamaica with Stephen Hart, I think it was 2014. Right, so we went to Jamaica in 2014. We beat Jamaica in 2014. And when that happened, it was on the news over there that was the first time in 64 years. Think about that. The first time in 64 years that Trinidad and Tobago beat Jamaica in Jamaica. That sounds unbelievable. And that was 2014. This is 2023. We just beat Jamaica again in Jamaica. And then we played a second game and drew 0-0. So Angus, Eve, great job. I'm seeing some of the young players that I worked with in there. Still, some of the players that I worked with as juniors are now seniors. But it's there. And of course, Trinidad and Tobago is playing Bahamas on Friday. And then, I think it's Thursday or Friday. And then Nicaragua in Tobago on Monday. Inshallah. So, those games are, the games against Jamaica were friendly games. The games against Nicaragua and Bahamas are tournament games to qualify for the Gold Cup. All right, so those are games that we really need to win. So let's support our teams, let's support our leagues, let's support the industry. Last week, for the Boys Academy session at the Kwame Ture Center, we had a football tournament, and it was brilliant. It was brilliant. It was a really, really great day. I enjoyed it so much. And of course, we're back at the Kwame Ture Center this morning, 10 o'clock, for the George Padmore Boys Academy sessions. And this will be session number 8 for the year. Session number 28 in all. And then next week we're doing an agriculture session with them. And then the week after, which will be the last session for this cycle, we're going to have our review of the last 10 weeks. So that will be a very special occasion. All right, so let me open up the telephone lines. 3420081 and 466-5391. And please, if you have any explanation whatsoever about all of those cars bursting into flames, please give me some insight on it. All right, so let's go straight to the phone lines. Caller, good morning.
A blessed morning to you, Brother David.
Greetings. Good morning.
Well, my interest, you see the international, well, I say the comedian court. It's a criminal court, but the comedian court.
The what?
The International Criminal Court.
Right.
Well, I say the comedian court.
Oh, I hear you with Vladimir Putin.
Yes. Well, what I'm saying
is a joke.
Well, what I'm saying is this. America and Europe, that court is the puppet for them. Because they call in the shots. Now, why they didn't call the shot on the Israelis who killed Israelis? You understand? They wouldn't bring no Israelis. You hear what I'm saying? Not Israelites. Israelis.
I hear you.
Would ever enter the International Criminal Court charged for anything.
Yeah.
No British, no Canadian, no Australian. If you understand what I'm showing you.
I hear you.
They're only looking for like people in Africa. These let me say soft state.
Yep.
And they call out this one because Russia invade Ukraine. But if you check the history of Ukraine, Kyiv was part of Russia.
Of course.
If you understand what I'm saying, Russia in the Ottoman Empire, the other half, the southern part of Ukraine was in the Ottoman Empire. If you understand what I'm telling you, Brother David.
Yeah.
So what Putin is doing, according to he, trying to make sure that he have the fatherland once again, and what is going on. Even Poland was part of Russia.
Of course. Yeah.
So what we witnessing with this International Comedian Court is the dictate of America and Europe.
But you know the charges that they're leveling against Vladimir Putin, first of all, for the last 2-3 years, they've been saying he's a war criminal, he's been doing all this stuff. But this time around, you see, they're so smart. They're so tricky. Exactly. So they're trying to convince the world that dispute over there is supposed to be more important to us than our own issues at home. And they want the whole world to jump on the bandwagon of condemning Russia.
Exactly.
They realize they're not really getting that kind of support from across the world. So what do? They bring in the children. And they say that Vladimir Putin has committed these war crimes by deporting children. So once people around the world hear children, they say, oh my gosh, no, he's a terrible man. Let's all come against him.
One more point, Brother David. You know, remember China had a convention for 9 days. The African Union, as I share, does only have it on a weekend, if you understand what I'm saying. Time for them to get serious. Africa is the biggest continent in the world. We have problems not for 2 days, but for 9 days, if you understand what I'm saying. Let those leaders in the African Union get together and have conference for 9 days. Get the 3 delegates of Africa together and solve Africa problems. Thank you very much, Brother David.
I hear you, my brother. Thank you. Remember that old Beatles song, Back in the USSR? Now, they're talking about Russia, and the lyrics, there was a lyric that said, the Ukraine girls really knocked me out, and the Moscow girls make me scream and shout. They're talking about Russia, and Ukraine was understood to be a part of Russia. Now all of a sudden, see, it's called revisionism, when they just change up things. Caller, good morning.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Mohammed bin my brother.
Yes, sir. How are you?
Nice. I'm fine. You know, the other day when all the atrocities that was committed by American soldiers in Afghanistan, when the ICC said they're going to investigate, they said, no, we can't investigate our soldiers. And they have to deteriorate. You understand? But I want to say, so this morning, I will read a little something here by Dr. Henrik Clark. Things Africans should know, according to Dr. John Henrik Clark.
Right, yep.
Issues this apocalyptic warning. We have realized that education in the United States has but one honorable purpose, one alone. Everything else is a waste to time. That is to train the white student to be a proper handler of power. Being black and beautiful means nothing until ultimately you are black and powerful. The world is ruled by power, not blackness and beauty. Dr. Henrik Clark. And Brother David, you know, like long ago, all now, so today is the 18th. Yesterday was the 17th.
Yes.
All those, so you know, because they stopped pan playing and calypso from Tuesday night, Carnival Tuesday night. So today was a freedom day.
Yeah.
It was a day you go to a party, you go to the beach, you go to Lime, St. Patrick's Day. They say in Amharic, you say, if you cut the eyes now, knowledge is power. Listen, in 432 AD, Pope Celestine I sent a former British slave named Patrick to convert the people in Ireland in the holy name of Christianity. Patrick killed thousands of Irishmen, founded more than 300 churches, and baptized more than 120,000 persons. He also introduced the Roman alphabet and Latin literature into Ireland. As a just reward for these brutal, inhumane, and genocidal but religious acts, the Vatican made Patrick a saint, and today millions of Irish Americans celebrate St. Patrick's Day on this feast day, the 17th of March, each year in order to commemorate his religious violence against humanity. Knowledge is power, Brother David. Knowledge is power.
Yes, sir.
We have been celebrating this, our ancestors, our grandparents, as a great day. St. Patrick, nobody knew the brutal criminal and murderer, just like in slavery. what they have done. Just like the song they sing, How Great Thou Art, with the slave trader in England, you understand, who wrote that, when he stood down and he watched Africans coming to shore, you understand, in bondage, say how great thou art, you save a sinner like me. You understand? These are things our people have to get into and read and understand the knowledge. It's power to feel from the ignorance that we live in. Because we live in a religious ignorance, you know. A lot of it around us, and we don't understand. When you go into the research, go and see, you understand? Go and see what it is the Pope and they do in the Vatican. See who they bow down and pay homage to. You understand? ISIS and they, you understand? That will feel you get from ignorance of this political, religious freedom by getting it and you live a better life. But David, I am saying maybe there are too many cars in Trinidad. That's why they're burning some. No. That's all I can say.
It's something much deeper than that. Because these cars are not being set on fire, you know. There's no one, at least you're not seeing it. But the cars are parked there, no one interfering with them, and then fire just starts coming out of the engine, out through the bonnet. Next thing you know, the whole car is on fire.
But that's all I can say. Maybe it's too much. So some of them, they find a way, there are ways and means in doing things. For instance, let me tell you something, Brother David. When I'm telling you in the air, you got to be careful in the air. You understand? That's around us. I was sitting down in a place one day, and all of a sudden I feel like a little, a finer grain of sand. Just hit me in the eyes. And you feel that burning with it. And next thing you know, it's like you try to clear it out, but nothing came out. Like it just went directly. Because you have ENT. You understand? Ear, nose, and throat. Maybe like it goes straight down. So I said, but who is this? Right? And next day I home, and the breeze blowing from the east to the west. You understand? I really could not. I close the window. So it's going from the south to the north. All of a sudden you feel like something burning in your nostril. You both nostril, and then you start to sneeze. And then as you know what happening, is the nose start to run. You got to be so careful with these people because, as I say, when we are sleeping, they're in the lab working. And when we are awake, they change shifts. We got to be so careful that Europe is not easy with Putin and they up there, you understand? What happened to them? You see, they don't, it's Europe. If you don't understand what is going on up there, it's Europe fighting Putin, you know.
Yeah. Caller?
Sorry about that. Morning.
1 second, last call. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. What I'm saying is that Europe is fighting Putin. And Putin knows all the weapons they're selling up there. Billions of dollars they're selling here to destroy Putin. But Putin not stupid. Putin knows them. He knows exactly.
Of course he knows them.
You understand?
Of course he knows them. Yeah. Thanks a lot, caller. Thanks a lot. Caller, good morning. Sorry about that.
Good morning. Yes. You know, as you mentioned this thing about the slave master with this song, I just wanted to know that most of the African spirituals were written using only the black notes on the piano.
The sharps?
Yeah. Like, and one of the songs was written by a black slave. I don't know if it's the same one, but Amazing Grace was written. They put words to the melody that the slaves were singing on the boat while they were traveling across the oceans. That's if you realize the melody that they sing. It's a painful one. That's why it sounds so sorrowful. Amazing grace, how sweet. You see, you listen to the it's a sorrowful melody, a dragging melody, because it represented the pain that the Africans were in while traveling across. And he took that and he put words to it, and he gave up slaving after it is he realized. When God came into his life and he realized, hey, what I'm doing is so wrong. Listen to the pain these people are going through. And I am one of the cause for that. he realized and he stopped it. And this is how it is. He ended up making that song based on what it is they were singing. And that is why all the spirituals that came out after that had the same notes. Only the black notes.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Very interesting.
And listen, while it is history is good, and it's very important, because if you don't know where you come from, you might repeat it.
That's right.
But you see, right now, the education, knowing that education is good, and knowing that education helps you go forward, it's amazing that as black people, we continue to not want our children educated and keep them to be educated by people who just want to use them and abuse them and then refuse them. Because we continue to have people telling us that we are nothing, we are no good, we are worthless. Yet for all, whenever they want something difficult to do, it is the black man that is used. Look at the Vietnam War and the Korean War. Who were the men on point? And when they come back home, they were treated as nothing.
Well, all those wars that we fought for white people, they were under the illusion of eventual equality, and then when we came back, we were treated like third-class citizens. Right here in Trinidad, there was a riot that broke out in the Queen's Park Savannah on July 23rd, 1919, when they had a ceremony for the men who came back from World War I, who were still being treated like dogs, and they broke out into violence. And later on that same year, there was another riot on the waterfront in November. So, yeah, but let me ask, are you a preacher by chance? Training. All right. Well, if you're in training, I'd love to hear the person who's training you. But thanks so much. Thanks so much, my beloved brother. I really appreciate your call and your wisdom. Caller, good morning.
Good morning, Brother David.
Good morning, sir.
How are you, sir?
I'm fine by Allah's grace.
Well, as the gentleman said, history always has a chance of repeating itself. That's because right. We are allowed history to repeat itself. Because while we worried about Europe and their war, we have crazy things going on at home right here.
Yeah, locally. And as you say that, there's something that I want to. You just reminded me of something.
Yeah.
Because, okay, so Europe are doing their war. Here we are in the Caribbean, doing our best to unite. First of all, next year, do you realize next year is the last year of the decade for people of African descent? But that thing with Europe, talking about us over here in the Caribbean, and them over there in Europe. I was speaking with my daughter just a couple of days ago because my daughter has been all over Europe. Basically from London, she was saying you can get to the train station 15 minutes before a train leaves. And for basically the price of going to Tobago, you could take a train to France, Holland, Germany, Spain, Belgium, a train.
Yeah.
Now imagine, you could hop on a train, no long check-in and wait, hop on a train and go from one part of Europe and go through England, France, Germany, Belgium, Spain, Holland, all those countries for a small amount of money.
And that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Whereby
David.
if I in Trinidad want to go to St. Kitts, I had to go to St. Kitts on urgent business some years ago, same day. And I had to overnight in Antigua. Imagine that overnight in Antigua to go to St. Kitts and then coming back and to spend a full day in Barbados to go right there. I could have went from England to Germany and back in that time.
And exactly what I am talking about, David.
For a quarter of the price.
For a quarter of the price, and exactly what I'm talking about. So while we worry about Europe are fixing their business, especially with our whole Brexit thing. They try to get it back together. While we here in the Caribbean, we have some leaders, David. And I don't think none of these leaders, both from Andrew Holness back to Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley, these men's dreams are dead dreams, Dead dreams for society, They have no future for the youth that are coming up, Because right now we have some youth coming up, like there's nobody setting no example. Ask any one of these youth that go to school right now, if you want to be a Dr. Keith Rowley or an Andrew Holness. It's not like that. They more look up to a hip-hop star or a Kanye West. Some crazy people out there in the European idea want to be like them.
Right.
None of these youth are nationalists. None of these youth nowadays are nationalists because, Brother David, I applied for a passport to take my children to Europe on a tour. Just to see where you just find it out. I want to go from one country to the next country and I train for a week. And since November, the 18th, I applied for my daughter passport. I get my son home since last year. Up till now, today, I can't get it. You know the reason why I can't get my daughter passport, David, she's a Trinidadian? Because the immigration is fighting me.
Well, listen, let me share something very important with you very quick. Now, this was March the 8th, this year. March the 8th, 2023. This is an article. It was a press conference as well. I'm going to try to share this as quick as possible. CARICOM Minister welcomes amended Immigration Act. That's Minister Amory Brown. Listen, Foreign and CARICOM Affairs Minister Dr. Amory Brown has welcomed President Pauline Week's proclamation of amendments to the Immigration Caribbean Community Skilled Nationals Act of 2022. Now, this is Pauline Week's This is her last contribution to our region. It says the Immigrants CARICOM Skilled Nationals Bill 2022 was passed with amendments on the Senate on March 15, 2022. The House of Representatives passed the bill on June the 3rd, 2022. And the bill became an act when it was assented into law by the President on June 17th, 2022. In a statement issued by Minister Amory Brown, he announced a proclamation of the amendments. The amendments signal Trinidad and Tobago's ongoing commitment to the deepening and strengthening of the regional integration process and brings Trinidad and Tobago into compliance with decisions of the Conference of Heads of Government. Said the proclamation expands the categories of workers eligible for free movement within the Caribbean region under the CSME from 5 categories to 12 categories. So now includes university graduates, artists, musicians, media workers, sports people. They were the first 5. So now they're including agriculture workers, security guards, beauty service practitioners, barbers, non-graduate nurses, and non-graduate teachers eligible for free movement of labor within the Caribbean. The ministry said the addition of more categories of eligible workers increases employment opportunities with the region for nationals at home and those in the diaspora, and it can be used as a mechanism to expand the range of skilled and unskilled labor available in the region. So basically what this is saying, and I could assure you, my brother, that there are many people at that airport right now who don't even know of these laws that were passed and amended since last year. I can assure you, because when they see our brothers and sisters from Haiti, from Jamaica, from St. Vincent, and from other countries coming in, they still want to stop them and send them back. Listen, there's literally no reason left.
I'm going to break a news here, right? I'm going to break a news here right now and put it on the radio. A Jamaican guy came in last night who was deported 3 weeks ago, who a matter before the court, and the police and an immigration man picked him up, put him on a flight. He returned back with his lawyer, with all the documents he has. And when the head of immigration want to find out, who is the police and immigration that put you on a flight? The man have a court matter in the high court, and the police them scrape up in the middle of the night, came to the airport early in the morning and put him on a flight with 2 immigration men.
Listen, this could become a floodgate of court cases, there are so many people who, listen, I don't know what it is. I know part of it was this racism, this fear of too many Africans coming into the country from other Caribbean islands. You hear all the propaganda about it. And some of it is some of us who are ignorant, illiterate, and self-hating, who don't want to see our own. But this could be a floodgate of court cases, because people could come to this country, you're a CARICOM citizen, and they turn you back. That could be like what happened in Barbados with Shanique Myrie. She sued the government and got through. The thing is, most people won't think about trying to sue these governments. But see all this turning back people from Caribbean countries?
Well, that's the reason why they don't want to give me my daughter passport, because I threatened to sue. And I make an application already to sue them. Because guess what? I have business paying tax, both corporate tax, NIS tax, BR tax I paid over for the past 20-something years. And up till now, the government fighting me same way with my immigration people, with my children them born here. I can't get to go Barbados for the weekend with my kids. I have to apply to them before I leave. And the woman was to give me a decoration. If I don't return in 3 days with 3,000, I can't get back my passport and I can't get my daughter passport. And the Indian girl, she said, let me know up front. I run things in here. And if you don't come back in 3 days, you can't get that.
Thanks a lot for calling, dear brother. Thanks a lot. Thanks so much. So, and I remember as well, again, there was a breakfast meeting at, might have been the Hilton Hotel, between the prime ministers of Jamaica, Barbados, and Trinidad and Tobago. This is before 2022. And since back then, they announced the expanding of the categories of CARICOM citizens being able to travel in between the islands. But in spite of all of that, you're still hearing about these deportations. It's shocking. And I could assure you, there's nothing, no law, no government, no immigration, no policy that is going to stop the Chinese people from all different parts of the Caribbean being one united Chinese community. There is nothing that will stop the East Indian community of Trinidad and Tobago uniting with the East Indian community of Guyana and Suriname. There is nothing that's going to keep the Syrians apart in this country from other Caribbean nations. But when it comes to us, we in and out of these airports, deported, detained, being held, handcuffed, embarrassed, being sent back. We are filling the immigration centers, Africans from the continent of Africa, and even in beautiful Antigua, who we have to all salute, especially in this decade of people of African descent, where Antigua were able to be the first Caribbean country. Imagine that, they even beat Barbados to it. The first Caribbean country to have direct flights between Africa and the Caribbean nation. And from what I understand, I have to get an update on it, but they started in November last year, and they're on pause now for some reason because of a whole lot of hype and negative propaganda about human trafficking. And they say there are 200 Nigerians roaming the street. I'm not even sure if I believe half of it. But the flights, the direct flights to Africa, have been put on hold because of all of that hype. Caller, good morning.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. Rahmatullah barakatuh.
David, as you're talking about this topic here on here with movements people to the Caribbean, and they go do the same with the Chinese and the Indians and the. It's a fact. They're never walking down the road that every 10 foot they make it out somebody hand in a palm, so for somebody to read your palm in your hand. These people how they just come in the country. They can't even understand English good. How them coming in the country and they paying them and paying and paying them back. Every 10 foot step you make into Napuna, every corner you pass to see one of them or two of them. How they paying them? How they have a problem to come in the country, boy?
well, and you know what? Too, there's a radio station that has talk programs in the morning and so on. And there's this ad running, and on TV too.
On TV too?
This ad about some man, if you're having problems, if your lover left you, you go to him, pay him some money, right? And he's going to make your lover come back to you. Girlfriend left, boyfriend left, or people trying to work black magic on you or whatever. And you go and pay them, right? Yes. And then the problems in your life will be fixed. And somehow there's a market for that in Trinidad right now.
I'm telling you, you're more than protesting. All right, brother. Good morning.
All right, my brother. Oh, Lord. That one made my day. Because, listen, I don't know what is it about Trinidad right now that there's a market for that kind of, and it's very, very, very expensive to advertise on these major television and radio stations, but apparently they're making money, right? So you lost your girlfriend or whatever, or someone's being unfaithful to you, go pay him money and everything will be sorted out. Caller, good morning.
Pleasant good morning to you, Brother David Muhammad. Good morning to you, Trinidad and Tobago.
Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Brother David Muhammad. I always listen to your program from time to time or when I'm able to do so. And you know what I like to see? I know you outline what the Chinese did, because the Chinese was able to have a Chinese association all around the world. Yep. So they come together and they continue their identity. And I would like to see the African diaspora coming together from different nations and different parts of the world cohesively. You know, I mean, yes, they have the misunderstanding and the pulling and the tugging, but the Chinese do have that same issue as well. But you don't see them washing the dirty linens in public. I mean, the PNM have that kind of, how could I say, that kind of constitution in their party, but yet still you see the bantering. But I would definitely like to see the difference right now in terms of the diaspora, because when you look at the East Indian, when you look at persons like myself, they also come together cohesively and make something happen for them. So we need to push it. We need to push this agenda, because I can see big things happening in Trinidad and Tobago, by extension the region and internationally, with the African diaspora coming together.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much for your call. I appreciate your words. Thank you. Caller, good morning.
Good morning, my brother.
My beloved sister.
Yes. I don't know. To me, I am noticing. I don't know if it's connected with reparations. It's connected with the opening of the eyes, and people are awakening to what the reality is and the horrid situation that was slavery. Because this story that I'm hearing here with the man who made that hymn, he made that hymn because he was benefiting from slavery. That's why he made it. He made it because he was saying, listen, this is what saved, because as like most of them, he was a wretch, he was a nobody, a wicked, evil man. And he's saying, and when he's seeing the slaves filling up his boat, he was praising and saying, listen, this is what's saving a wretch like me. But
right. Okay.
I don't know why lately here, to me, like, you're hearing a lot of stories that have been twisted and turned to suit the situation. But brother, all I am saying is we are grateful that we have a forum and we have where we can open each other's eyes to what is going on, to awaken, and please encourage the young people to listen.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.